Okay, so we'll add a little bit of some structure to this frame here now, and once again the point element's going to help us to be able to do that very easily. So I'll just go and click on a point. I'm going to place a point somewhere along this edge boundary that we've created through here. So now there's my point being created. Sometimes if you don't see that created correctly to start with, depends on the graphics card of your computer, you might want to just escape or do a little bit of zoom in and out and it becomes apparent where that is. Okay, so I'm going to select that point. As you can see, it gives me a reference plane to start drawing on, and I'm going to say we're going to have a circular mullion type frame around here, so we're going to pick up the circle element and I'm going to click on that point there, and I'm going to give this a radius of, well, it really doesn't matter what the radius I give it at the moment, but I want it to be, I want the diameter to be 65. So I'm going to say 32.5 for the radius, and like I say, it doesn't really matter what that is at the moment because we're going to put a parameter on it to drive it. So let's put that parameter on here at the moment. So if I click the circle, I'll go into DI for dimension. I'm going to put a diameter dimension on at the top here, and then I'm going to click the circle, and that's placed a diameter dimension. I just need to click outside in space to finish that off and escape to deselect. And if I click on that dimension now, I can add a label to it which sets up a parameter. So I'll drop that down, add a parameter. I'm going to call this parameter frame diameter. Okay. I'm going to leave this as a type parameter, so the users can, back in the project, can set up different types of panels. So we've got a frame diameter for this type, and at the moment it's set to 65. Under here we can go to family types, and you can see I've got a frame diameter which at the moment is set to 65. Okay, so let's create the frame around the outside here. If I select that circle and then select the lines around the outside that light up like that, and they're broken at that point, so I need to then control select that. So I'm control selecting the circle and the 4 reference lines around the outside, and I can create a form out of that. Click out. So what that's done is it's created my frame around the outside. Okay, so I can orbit around and have a look at that in some different directions. Okay, so that's the first bit. Now that frame's going to get in my road, so I'm going to go back and select it again. Also, if I hover over one until it says the form element and then tab, it finds all of them. I'm going to go back down to my sunglasses and hide those elements as well. Because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create another reference line with 3D snapping on that goes from this node point up to the end of that line and down to that node point. Okay, and then I'll escape and do the same across from this node point up to this point and then down across to here. So I've built a bit of a pyramid truss structure at the back of this panel. I'll escape out of that. Okay, so there's the geometry created. I just better check that out by flexing. Changing this once again to say 300. 300. Pressing apply. And yes, it's all flexing just nicely. Okay, so what I will do now is I'll need to put another point onto one of these lines. There we go. Come across to this one. Depending on the speed of your graphics card, once you start using these 3D snapping points, things can slow up a little bit, so just be a bit patient, but it will work. Escape on there. Now select that. So this is a good demonstration that I haven't got a particularly powerful machine here. It's just got an integrated graphics card, yet it still is driving all of this functionality, which is absolutely terrific. So on that that point, and while I'm there I'll put another one on too. So I'll put another point over on this side, and I'll set that plane up, and while that plane's selected I'll go and grab my circle tool, and this time I'll draw a circle from there. Now I'm going to give this one a radius of 12.5 because I'm expecting that this initially set up diameter that I want for these braces are going to be a diameter of 25. So while I'm there, I'll go and select this other one. Okay, and draw a circle there at 12.5. You'll see why I've drawn it on two of these lines side by side. I'm not going to worry about doing it on all four, and the reason for that is, well, you'll see in a second. But first of all, I've got to put a DI for dimension, go and find the diameter dimension, and put a diameter on that circle. It doesn't want to go on there for me. Try on this one. Yeah, okay, you have to set up the reference plane. So there's a diameter on that circle there now. So I have to select this point. So it's an active reference plane, and then I can type DI for dimension, diameter, and put a diameter on that one. Now, if I select both of those diameter dimensions, and if I can select both at once, the diameter dimensions, I can give them a label and add parameter, and this time I'm going to call these ones brace diameter. And they're also going to be left as a type so the user can set up different types in their project. So I've got brace diameter. I'll just change this scale again for you to something even a bit easier to see again. I've gone to 1:2 now. So I've got brace diameter and I've got frame diameter on the outside. So let's create some geometry with that. So here's where if I select this circle and control click that line, as well as the one over the top of the apex and back down again. So I'm going to go over the top and back down in the one selection, circle and the two lines, and create a form out of that. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing again, circle, line, and this line that goes up to the top of the apex and back down the other side again, and I'm going to create a form out of that. Okay. So that's a form, and then I'll go back to my sunglasses down the bottom here and click reset. So I've reset all my geometry. It's looking very big and chunky here at the moment, but that's only because I've changed my rectangle spacing. It's quite small, so I'll go up to 600 again here now. You can see that this is all flexing nicely, and even try a different dimension again just to make sure. Go up to 900. So when the size of the grid is changing, the size of the frame that's being used, the 65 and the 25, is not changing. That's exactly what we want to see happen. So we've created a lot of geometry there now. It's probably a good time to try loading that back into the project. And remember, we're loading this back into the project now as truss brace. So I can click load into project. Now it's important we have added parameters to this now. So click the bottom one here, overriding the existing version and parameter values. So if I click on OK to there, right, we've lost the pattern through here. I'll see why that is here in a moment. I'll just pause the video while I sort that out. Okay, I've sorted that out. It's just because we're still in the mass editor. What you're going to have to do to see the effect of this is just click Finish Mass after you've loaded the family in. Click Finish Mass, and what that does is that closes down the mass editor and opens up the view of the model with your geometry of your space frame supported curtain wall panel all loaded in. So what you can do here now is, if you find your curtain panels down underneath here, which we've created, there's a curtain panel, truss braced, open that up, and that what you could do is right click on that and duplicate, So you might want to create another one called frame 50 with a brace of 20. I'm just thinning things up a little bit here. So frame 50 and brace 20. If I right click and go to its type properties, I can open that up and make the frame diameter 50 and the brace diameter 20, and click OK to that. And then I could click on this and edit it again. So this is the mass that's showing up. If I edit that in place, I could then find the divided surface, which is that truss, and open up down here, and I've now got a different type. I've got frame 50 brace 20, so I can click on that and it thins everything up for us. So we can go finish mass, and there we are with our curtain wall. It's like, and the other thing about the curtain wall is if I just go back to massing in sight, and I can now turn show mass off. I'll probably got saving for the moment. So even with the mass off that we created all this geometry on, the actual geometry of that curtain wall panel still shows. Now I really probably wanted them to be all flipped around the other way, so I think the best way of doing that might be to turn the mass back on, show mass settings, so I can select the whole thing in one go, and I'm going to try and rotate this. Yeah, there you go, it'll seem to rotate. I'll probably have to rotate it and then put it back into position better later, but I'm just going to quickly try rotating. So I tried this before and type 180 and press enter. Well, there you go, it's established itself pointing back in the right direction. And if I could now just go to a floor plan view, and I could pick it up and actually position it back where I really wanted it to go. So click that up and move it. Move it probably from that end. I'll just place it here for now. You can see how you could relocate it anywhere you wanted it to be. So facing on the inside, and I might just actually nudge that a little bit back inside the building like that. And there is my glass curtain wall that I've created. In the next video what we'll do is, it's a little bit unfinished yet, because looking around the back here, these truss pyramid elements that we've created through here aren't actually giving that wall any extra stiffness at the moment until we join these apexes together. We're going to use an adaptive family component to do that. We'll do that in the next video.